to propose some measures or principles for peace and cooperation in the region. I would continue with the expression I quoted from the Prophet Muhammad, salawatullah, since my friend from Bahrain welcomed this statement. Then I go to interpretation of this expression. The first, for the region, which India definitely can play a role on these principles, ideas which I'm going to raise, is to understand the wars in this region for 20, 30 years, from Saddam invasion of Iran to Kuwait, attacking Libya, Yemen, or Iraq or Afghanistan, has been catastrophic and the source of chaos, instability, and problems. Therefore, to agree, to work, to cooperate on diplomacy rather than war. This is the first principle, I believe. As long as there is not common understanding, some countries, they like to continue with wars. Whether this is the US or Iran, doesn't matter, I mean. The second principle is not use of force. Anyone can give me one example, any event or crisis or issues in this region trying to use force to bring regime change has been successful. All have failed, with no exception. Therefore, the use of force to bring regime change should be stopped. This is the second. Third is the importance and the necessity for dialogue. If my friend from Bahrain would not object, I quote Quran, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. This is an instruction from God to Muslims, that you have to have dialogue and consultation to resolve your problems. Therefore, we need a dialogue between Iran, GCC, Iraq, the countries in this region. Actually, if we look at the region, the problems goes back to either to Israeli-Palestinian issue or comes to our region between Iran, Saudi, Shia, Sunni, and all this. This conference told us there is no hope for Israeli-Palestinian issue. Even those who believed two-state solution would work, now Netanyahu and everybody says, forget it, Jewish state, that's all. Therefore, it doesn't seem there is, because all of the powers also, they support Israel unilaterally with carte blanche. Therefore, I don't believe there is a solution for that part. But those comes back to the GCC, Iran, Arabs, Persians, Turks, Sunni, Shia, sectarianism, all of this. We need to have a forum of dialogue. Yesterday I proposed details. I am not going to repeat it. The fourth principle is to agree whether we are going to invite to borrow security from outside, or the regional countries should cooperate to maintain regional cooperation by themselves. This region has been dominated by UK for decades. Then the UK has left. The US for 60 decades has dominated this region. And this is the result we see. The US is the most powerful country in the world, and they have not been able to manage. And their dominance only has resulted in insecurity, instability, chaos, terrorism, and all this, whatever we see. I don't believe any other superpower dominance would do better. Whether this is Russia or China, or it doesn't matter. We need cooperation of the world powers, from India to permanent members of United Nations Security Council, to help the regional countries to create a regional system to maintain security, peace, and stability. And if Americans are going to leave the region because they don't need anymore the oil, the vacuum of the US also would double the crisis and the problems in the absence of, because I don't see any other international power can succeed the Americans in this region. Except the only solution I see as a sustainable peace, security, and stability is a regional cooperation system. And then is about the dimension of the cooperation. A friend of mine, we were talking at the lunch, an Indian member of Foreign Ministry was telling me, Mr. Mousavian, you are proposing a regional cooperation system while there is no trust between you and GCC and the neighbors. I told him, look, after the Second World War, three powers, European powers, Germany, UK, and France, with the smaller European countries. The smaller European countries, they were afraid of the hegemony of Germany or France or UK. And these three countries actually had the same problem today Iran and Saudi Arabia they have, even more, because Germany created two world wars. The reality is that the smaller countries, they are afraid both from Iranian dominance or hegemony, or Saudi dominance or hegemony, or Iraqi dominance. It doesn't matter. We have three countries which they are more powerful. We remember Saddam era. We remember Saddam invasion of Kuwait. And they are afraid. We can see today Saudi-Qatar conflict. And they have the same fear, the small countries from Iran. We have to be very frank, sincere. We have to recognize the fact. But the solution is what Europeans started 40, 50 years ago from EC. I believe we all remember. This trust was there. They were in full confrontation and hostility, the three powers, with the smaller countries. But they started from economic cooperation. Little by little, they built EU. But EU today comprises of security, military, political, economic, cultural cooperation. As long as we don't have such a very comprehensive cooperation, only security cooperation, I believe, would not be sustainable. And we have had regional cooperation systems, GCC, established in 1980, but today is collapsed, not because of, I really don't believe this is because of Saudi Arabia-Qatar conflict. I believe GCC collapsed the day Saddam invaded Kuwait, and GCC was totally helpless. These 6 countries, one was attacked, the other 5 couldn't do anything. And the US came to save Kuwait. Therefore, everyone understood GCC is totally dead. We need Iraq. We need Iran. There is a discussion whether Yemen would be or should be member or not. This is, I don't object, because more comprehensive, more inclusive would be more helpful. This is 5, 6 principles I have for peace, security, and stability. looking forward, the way forward. And I believe, since, as Excellency said, India is one of the major international regional powers in the Asia. India has good relation with all countries he mentioned, and I believe the weight of India could be used to initiate or to support or to work to bring these countries to peace, security, cooperation based on the principles I mentioned. Thank you.